and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling Art with Chris Things.
Ray! Do the hammerlock! I do the hammerlock! Ray! Do the hammerlock, you turkey necks! Yeah, do the hammerlock! I do the hammerlock!
Everybody's doing it. Hello. Hello there, pals. Chris Things Brian here. This is Wrestling Art with Chris Things. I'm back. I am here for a heck of a show. I was blowing out my levels there at the start. I'll be a little bit more wary of that as we go forward. However, we made it to a special edition of the show. I don't know if you've been keeping track of such things, but I was in Mexico recently for an absolutely delightful trip. We had a little bit of a pause on the podcasts whilst I was over there. Which meant that I got a little bit behind when it comes to our matches of the week, where I talk about the illustrations and the matches that have been my favourite, and that I have my little old illustration series of. That is a big part of this podcast, so I had some catching up to do. Decided to bring back our old lightning rounds gimmick, where I try to strive for 10 minutes of talking about each of these matches. Inevitably, I tend to fail at that goal, but it's good to have a goal, regardless of whether you achieve it or not, I feel, in this life. So that's what this week's episode is. We've got the lightning rounds. We're going to be catching up on the last 5 of my matches of the week, to hopefully get a little bit back on track of things there. I've got a whole bunch of my dear friends that'll be joining me to talk about each of these matches. That's one of my favourite things when I do this deal. I get to actually have a whole bunch of really cool people on one episode to talk about wrestling, our love of wrestling, some matches that I love. I get to run them by other people, see what they thought. That's what I really love about this whole thing. So I'm very excited about that. In today's episode, well, let me make sure I got this right. We'll be joined by my best mate in the whole wide world, David, who's been a previous guest on this show. David used to be we used to be housemates. We used to wrestle against one another in the previous version of my life where I was still a worker. Gave one another all sorts of concussions, I'd say a guy that is very, very important to my life. He now lives in merry old England, but I still get to chat to him when we have this show. It's nice to have an excuse to chat, so I'll be joined by David. I'll also be being joined by cousin Ben. I'll also be being joined by wrestling club member Joe, and finishing it off with Richard of Video Plant. Very excited about that. So we've got a great episode lined up today, and it's probably going to be a bit of a hefty one, but I mean, I have to make up for all of these weeks that I didn't have a podcast when I was in Mexico. So I think it should be fine, but we'll strive for 10 minutes each one. In this little intro bit before we get to those, I'll try to keep it brief, but I've got a lot of things going on. First of all, I wanted to make mention, I haven't really spoken about it in a little bit because a lot of this happened when I was in Mexico, but the new book, the AEW edition of Way of the Blade, the big sequel, pre-orders are actually up now. There's an Indiegogo that Hybrid Shoot has started to get this project underway. The book itself is finished. My illustrations for said book are finished. Phil's amazing writing for the book is finished. I've proofed a version of it, and it looks great, guys. I'm very excited about it, but they're doing the Indiegogo thing to be able to assist with I think some of those costs that you have when you start a project like this before it gets sent off to Bezos or whatever. So there's an Indiegogo that is up now. It's a great way for all of my pals in America to be able to get on this. You get a bit of a discount with that, the paperback version of the book. And it just really helps. I think Hybrid Shoot is amazing because they're such a passion-run grassroots business run by the amazing Jonathan Snowden and his wife. They did a fantastic job, and they really put a lot of effort into engaging like actual creatives like myself for this thing. And yeah, it is a mum and pop kind of business, so this kind of thing just helps them get a bit of certainty on how many books to order for the start of it. So that'll be a great thing for I would assume maybe some of you might already be on it, but those of you who weren't in the know, here you go. And then hopefully that international pre-order will be up in the near future as well. And I'll keep everyone posted on that, but very excited about that. And as we get a little bit closer, I'll definitely be doing some special stuff as part of the release of that book. I think I might even have to have Phil on the show, Phil Schneider. That would be a real honour for me, but we'll see how we go. Other than that, man, I've as soon as I got back from Mexico, I've been lining up my schedule, planning that out a bit, and I've already had a few little events so far. I spoke about that last week, but coming up this Saturday, I've got another little old makers market at Netherworld, a little bar in Fortitude Valley, Brisbane. I've had a bunch of different group shows solo shows, a bar that's very close to my heart. So I'm stoked to be part of the Netherworld Creator Market. That is this Saturday, kicks off at 12. So anyone in Brisbane wants to come on down, have a chat, have a gander, let's do it. Following that, next Saturday, I'm selling my art in the alleyway of a bouldering rock climbing place in Morningside, 9 Degrees Makers Market. I'll be doing that one. I did that last year, and that was a lot of fun. So looking forward to doing that again. My pal Amy Crow of Forge Forward will be there as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And then on the Sunday, May 11th, the next wrestling club is happening. My first one back from Mexico. This is part 9, the 9th edition of Wrestling Club. And dude, it's been a little while since the last one, with the trip and everything. So I've got some ideas, I've got some things in mind. I'm like, is everyone going to be expecting that I'm just going to play a whole bunch of lucha? I don't want to be too obvious with this kind of stuff. Maybe I have to do a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how we go. But there's a general theme. I don't normally give this stuff out beforehand, but a general theme, if you had to put it on it, I want to say outrageous. So, if you're in the Brisbane area and would like to come to the greatest bar in the whole wide world, a dive bar, craft beer, pillar of the community, the Scratch, on Sunday, May 11th, please do so. There'll be wrestling up on the big screen at the back of the bar. There'll be delicious beers, pizza, Szechuan food, everything. I love these things, and I love building the community that we have. Wrestling clubs are one of my favourite things to do in the month, so I'm very excited about that. That one kicks off at 5 p.m. and is free at the Scratch. Then the next thing that we'll have coming up, as we try to wrap this up nice and quick, will be Lucha Fantastica in Sydney. So that one is going to be on the 18th of May, Sunday, the 18th of May. There's the traditional kids show at 3 p.m, adult show at 6:30, all at the Factory Theatre in Sydney. Here the adult show tickets are almost sold out, but that's very cool to, for those of you, overseas, the comedy festival is a big deal here in Australia. Both the comedy scene, but the general entertainment industry. So for Lucha Fantastica to be part of the comedy festival is a super cool thing, a massive achievement. Senor Fantastico Victor runs an incredible show. I feel so lucky to get to be part of it. Get to be part of the Lucha Fantastica family, bring my little old art table along and hawk my wares, and the whole Lucha Fantastica thing has been such a cool part about my progression in my art life journey. I never would have thought that as part of my job I'd be traveling interstate on a regular basis to sell my art at Mexican wrestling shows. It's a wild world we live in, but the specialness of that is not lost on me. For me to get to be at my art table, and I'd want to say at least 75% of my stuff is heavily inspired by celebrating the wonderful, beautiful world of Lucha Libre. So for me to get to be there, to sell such art, to get to watch crazy, ridiculous Lucha Libre in the background, just makes me so happy. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing in mid-May, and then yeah, I think the next thing I got coming up in June, I'm part of a Solstice occult supernatural art show at Superordinary in Hamilton in Brisbane, which I'm very excited about. A group show, a weird and wacky night of all sorts of things, performance art, all of the things. So looking forward to that. But that's about the end of me shilling all the stuff that I got going on. I'm going to be busy. And I've also got some other things that I'm doing behind the scenes here, some exciting commission stuff. So everything is bubbling away. I got all the plates spinning, and yeah, this is it. This is my life. This is what I've chosen to do, and I'm very excited about it all. But let's jump over to some match of the week, lightning rounds goodness. All right. Take it away, Chris and friends. All right, here we are, our first cab off the rank. We're back to our lightning rounds gimmick. We are on the first of the lot. Trying to get caught up with these matches of the week while I was on holiday, and I'm starting out with my dear pal David. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, mate. Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's all good here. I hope you're well. Anyway, I'm going to start by being as fast as possible. Hopefully that translates over into the lightning round.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. That's all right.
Hit the 10-minute stopwatch. So here we bloody go. We're talking a tremendous match from earlier this year at New Japan CMLL Fantastica Mania at Korakuen Hall. Took place on the 28th of February between our boy Rey Hechicero and Barbaro Cavernario. I loved every bit of this. I loved it even more on rewatch. What were your thoughts, my friend?
Yeah, I had to watch it twice. First time I watched it, I was like, these are sick entrances, fun little spots in the match. But I was like, it wasn't about at midnight at night when I watched it, so I was very sleepy. Today I got to watch it with like fresh eyes. Still loved it just the same. Like, I love everything Hechicero does, so I'm quite biased towards what he does. And then Cavernario as well, like an amazing athlete that just does amazing stuff.
Such a wild man.
He is. Also, I loved his body art that he came out with on this. So good.
Always
so
loved
that.
His new entrance track is pretty bloody sick as well.
Yeah, that was fun. That was like real... I thought it was like Jungle Boy coming out for a second there. It was just like this new kind of funky little jungle track. But no, just a cool, works for cavemen too, apparently.
Yeah, so good.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a really great track previously, but like I think then
Mm.
they did the licensing thing, so now everyone has to have like stock music. So
Yeah.
they'll get the new stock music version of their song, but his one is
Yeah.
a vibe. I like it.
This is good. Yeah, yeah. His has still a bit of that like nature kind of jungle flair to it, which I like.
Bit of that like cumbia kind of music makes you really want to like groove while you're watching it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a bit of fun. The
Yeah.
yeah, Hechicero is just, however, just feels like a walking out to a little rave.
I was
Just a
talking to
bit of,
Richard on one of the previous podcasts about what a vibe Hechicero's stock music is. It's like this weird techno kind of like I'm all about it. It works with the wizard vibe.
he just seems like he's like the final boss walking out in slow motion to like a TikTok reel. It's like any of that final boss kind of memeage. Just seems like Hechicero right now.
It's like the load music when you're playing Tekken or something. I love it.
Yes, yeah, actually. Yeah, when you're going to go up against like Lee or Paul for the first time. Fucking bastards. I hated fighting them.
Oh man, this
Yeah.
match, I really loved that we start out and you get what you're kind of expecting, you know, that sort of the great like Yahweh mat wrestling, like the pin exchanges and everything, and then
Yeah.
it just like goes sideways more into Cavanario's wheelhouse, I guess, and then it
Yeah.
just like devolves into just a bloody wild, crazy fight. Uh, and it just gets more ridiculous and more ridiculous. And man, I love it. And then the best part is it comes back. We get into this sweet chop exchange, and then eventually, what does it end on? It ends on a classic Hechicero submission. I really love the overall, like all of the things that this match was when I rewatch it today.
Yeah. I just don't want to skip over, just right at the start, just
Go for it.
Caminario just grabbing Hechicero's mask, just reaching out really slowly and just like grabbing a handful of his mask.
You know what
And
it
he's like,
reminded me of?
what?
That bit of Beetlejuice when he's trying to make like a weird face.
Well,
To
he just
scare
stretches
them.
his face out.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
stretches the face out when he like pulls the mask. It really reminded me of that.
Yeah. No, I do love it. I think it was a really good open. Yeah, there's like a little trip sequence at the start there. There's like a spinning toe hold that leads into like Cabanero trying to kick him off, and then he catches the kick and then gives it a little bit more of a twist. Bit of fighting, a rope break there, and then some chops, or chops, and then chopping, and then yeah, that fun little push to a shoulder tackle,
Oh, so
rolling pin sequence that the crowd really gets into. Which I'm always like surprised how that translates over. Like I always think Japan are just like so ready to embrace just like other wrestling styles as well. They're just like, yeah, that was cool, that was fun.
Oh, they so are.
Just like fun little silly little things.
And there's like such a history of like Japanese fans loving lucha, you know, going back to
Yeah.
like Hamada's UWF and fucking all of those dudes that came over to wrestle Tiger Mask back in the day. Like Japanese fans
Yeah.
just love lucha, and this was a really great example of that. I think that's one of my favorite parts of this match. We have a match like this that we could see in Arena Mexico, Arena Coliseo, and it would be just amazing, you know, but then getting to see it like on the other side of the world in Japan in front of like totally different fans, it's still just amazing in a totally different way.
Yeah. It's I love it. I love how it's embraced. Like I love, we love lucha libre, and we also love Japanese wrestling. Like we love American wrestling as well. Like we watch all of it, we consume all of it, but it's just nice seeing like the entire crowd in the same mindset as well. It's
Yeah.
absolutely getting behind.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we have our little like rolling pin sequence that they get into, and then
We're
just
down to 4 minutes, by the way.
we've only got 4 minutes left.
Yes, yeah.
Shit. All right, we get for a slap there, and there's a little exchange, a little whip off the rope things, and then it ends with Hechicero hitting a head kick, and then a little bit of showboating that we love to see from him.
Great head kick.
Yeah, followed by the corner spot into the worm. I love seeing big dudes do the worm. Just resonates with me. Being a skinny dude.
Such an excellent signature of Cavanario. Always love seeing that worm
Yeah.
out of the corner.
Oh, It's so funny. Just gotta hit the worm here. Thanks, mate. Looks good. I mean, yeah, it's just fun. And of course, like Japanese people just having a laugh about it as well. They're into it. But then so moving down the list, we got some more. We got like a turnbuckle hit there, and then we got the cool rolling pin or the kind of flipping pin from a wrist lock. Sarah kind of flips up and over. Little takedown, head scissors takedown into a cool little takedown there. And yeah, bit of fun at the start there. I do like the pacing of this match actually.
Yeah, because that's the point where it really starts to escalate, right? And then we go to the outside.
Yeah, this is where it starts to take off.
We have just a crazy dive to start it off, that plancha.
Yeah.
Got so much height on it.
Oh, it was huge. It was great. And then we've got moving on from there, we've got dragon screw from the ropes, which is pretty cool, like a pretty cool way to like cut Cavernario off. Then we've got Hechi's kind of it's like a standing elbow drop, I suppose.
Oh, so cool.
Pounces off the rope, standing elbow drop, like a kind of like a leaping lariat, but yeah.
Like the flying Doug.
The flying Doug. Flying Doug.
Shout out to Ryan Eagles there.
Shout out to Ryan Eagles.
1 minute 50 left, by the way.
Shit. All right. I just want to really give a highlight to the cool huge splash to the outside that comes afterwards.
Oh my gosh!
And the cool fucking triangle dive as well.
Yeah, dude.
Like, so there's two really good splashes to the outside in this, both done by Cavernario onto Hechicero. And then one just like frog splash from the top of the ring to the floor.
Yeah, that
insane. It's been so long since I've seen one of those.
Cavernario dive. Like, I just always think about his knees with those thin mats, but like, he's a bloody wild man. That was so sick. That was the reason why I picked that one for the moment for the illustration. It was just so good, and then especially it was a really rad picture that I found from Alexis, the tremendous CMLL photographer of that moment in question. I was like, yep, this is it. Capture all the craziness. But yeah, it was such a sick dive.
Yeah, great dive. And then I just love it. It's like, it's his knees, his choice. He can do what he wants with his own body, but sacrifice it. And there's like, on the outside, a bit more of a hustle. And then there's a suplex to the tables that notoriously don't break.
Oh man, as soon as Hechicero did that weird spinny thing off the apron to the floor, and I was just like, this is just going to something else right now. And then they just...
Yeah.
that table,
I don't know what they were going for there. I don't know what they were going for there, whether it was like a misstep or something, but
I didn't even
fucking
care.
rate it.
It was amazing.
It was cool. He just like had him on the... And he's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to spin around now and you're going to fall off. Done. Yeah.
Dude, that was when it got to just this crazy level. And then, eventually we go inside. We have a sweet chop off. And it just felt like a real fight. I loved it. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting like the chop off or the punches and all that kind of stuff. I really like how that took off. And then, we had a little, right at the end there, we got a crucifix hold. And then crucifix hold where he traps the head with the leg. And then, Bob's your uncle. Hechicero gets the win.
Yeah, he did before that catch him with that really sick. I always love his signature, that head scissors guillotine thing. And then led into. I love the way they played it, where it's like Cavernario was like, "Oh, hang on, you haven't got me quite yet," and then it's like, "Oh yeah, all right, I'm done."
All right, you got me.
I love that they've built up Hechicero's that real signature like arm wringer submission so well. It was a big part of the Blue Panther match, I remember as well, and it's one of those ones where, as any good submission, once it's locked on properly, you were done. Yeah, and that's how you get a submission over, and I really love it.
Well, this is it. So like I went to living here in the UK, met friends, started hanging out with friends, and they wanted to watch like WrestleMania, right?
Oh no!
And so I was like, sure, I'll go along. We'll enjoy it. And they were talking about like submission holds and like seeing their favorite submission holds throughout history, and like they were talking about like, I was going to say Chris Benoit, but I don't know if we're allowed to mention him. I love him.
This is
Chris
a safe
Benoit.
place.
Chris Benoit, like the seeing the fucking crossface, but like
Fuck yeah.
and I was like, do you remember like what made it so special? And they were like, oh no, it was just a cool move. I was like, if you watched it, what did you enjoy it more when he almost had it or when he did have it on? And they were like, oh, when he almost had it. And then when he got it on right at the end, it was like really, really cool. When he like finally hit it, it was fun a couple of times, like when it gets teased a couple times throughout the match. But then when he fully locks it on, like that's it, it's done.
Yeah.
Same as like the Walls of Jericho, when that was just like when he's got that in, it's done. Like wrestlers that everybody knows. And then because yeah, these guys are like they're only back into wrestling because of the Netflix era. But seeing submissions where they're like there's like levels to them, and it's like the first level is like right, got you caught. I'm going to start stretching stuff out, and then that next level when it's locked in, like to me, that's when it should just be like tapping out straight away. Like you know they've got their signature move in that you know a move that they've apparently like practiced for hours and hours on end. You know that's their move, that's their go-to move to finish a match. You get caught in it, there should be like a very finite chance that you should be able to survive even a couple of seconds of it.
Yeah, there
I
is
love
a
that
big thing of lately, and I blame Kurt Angle for all of this, of, you know, spamming submissions and just getting a guy in it and he gets out of it so many times to just remove any threat of, you know, taking it, being like, oh, well, this has to be it. So yeah, I think there's a real fine art of, you know, keeping it dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. And I love, like, you think about it with wrestling, like, a lot of people see, like, submissions or finishes as, like, I've been working over the arm the entire match, therefore, like, if I get the arm now, it should be over. I've been working over the head the entire match. I feel like every wrestler falls into this trap of, like, oh, I have to make my move set all about attacking the head, all about attacking the arm. Whereas you don't. You just have to like build the match around it. Your whole move set doesn't have to be built around it. But at some point you do have to like weaken something, work something. And then I feel like a submission, especially a signature submission, should be able to come out of nowhere. But it has to come in like levels.
Yeah.
Has to become like you should be seeking it throughout the match. Like, oh, I need to get this. Oh, I really want this. Like, I know if I can get him in this exact position, I can win the match. And that's like submissions. That's like, you know, there's a lot of moves like that. But I feel like submissions in particular, are like going to lock that in. Like you need time to be able to take it in. It's not like a go to sleep, or it's not like a super kick where it's just instant. It's done. Submission is really like a thought out kind of process where you need to lock the person in the right way at the right time.
And from a psychology
Yeah,
standpoint, you need to tease that earlier as well. You know, you need to like look like you almost got it and see, you know, how much, you know, the dude's like, oh, well, man, I can't let this be locked on, otherwise this is the end. And that's where, you know, with the classic lucha 2 out of 3 falls, it can be so useful to be able to get that over in the first or second fall, so you build the drama for later. But a lot of the guys don't tease it in the right way, and all about educating the crowd. But yeah, when you have two masters like Hechicero and Cavanario, I feel like they know what's up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's exactly as you said. Like, you have to take the crowd by the audience. Take the audience by the hand. Take the crowd by the audience. What the fuck? Take the audience by the hand. It is midnight here, by the way.
You've done well.
But yeah, take the audience by the hand and then go like, here's the position I'm going to set the submission move up from. Like, here's where I'm going to attack it from. Here's what I'm going for. Like, tease it a little bit throughout the match. And then throughout this match, you had like, you had Hechicero hitting his like head scissor things, where you know where the little crucifix can come from. Like the crucifix can sneak out of so many places. Like, let you think about the where was it? Like after the rolling pin sequence, and there's like the head slaps and stuff in there. We work away a little bit, and then all of a sudden, like he pops up, and then just pops up and around and gets him in this little head scissors thing. It's so like head scissors are so prevalent in lucha libre, so to have like a submission that comes out of it, I always think is really cool. But especially the crucifix, like you got both of the person's arms and you're stretching them all the way out, and then right at the end he locks them in with that like little cheeky leg over the head. He's done for it. But yeah, there's positions that you can build upon and then take advantage of, lock in the submission.
I always loved that. I was always a big like Perry Saturn fan, so like going back to
Yeah.
the Rings of Saturn, I always thought was just the sickest move.
Yeah.
And there was a mixed martial arts move that was like based off of that, right? Like, was that the Americana or something kind of like that?
Yeah, not really the Americana. I don't know.
I remember
I know there's like
vaguely
I know there's
something
the
in
can
my
opener, which you can't do anymore.
yeah
There's a can opener, which is illegal. So like you're not allowed to have like both arms locked and then the head under your armpit because it's like torque on the neck. But for some reason, the twist is still allowed in MMA. Which I'm all about. More moves that are unbanned, the better. Just crank them, bro.
Soccer kicks.
Yeah. Just pedaling kicks to the head, bro. Just do it. Yeah, like I love any position. I love any submission where you can see both their faces, where both their faces are facing in the same direction. You can see like the anguish on one person's face, the person who's receiving the move, and the other person's like desperation, like because it's to hold a fully grown like person in one of these should take effort. You should be like burning yourself out trying to get them to tap.
Oh yeah.
At the same time, they're like burning themselves out trying to escape. So like another thing I like about the crucifix is their face is fully exposed. Like the audience sees it, they see the anguish. It's like it's that extra other level. And then same with like everyone sees like a cross face. Like their face is being clearly put towards your audience. You can see both their faces. You can see both the amount of effort that goes. Like you can see in the wrestler's arms, like completely tensed out, like veins popping.
And that's something I always look for, when I'm doing these matches of the week as well. I'm trying to pick moments that obviously convey emotion, but like can capture both guys' faces as well as you can. So that's always something that really sticks out to me lately when I'm doing these. And you have some really sick, submission moves, but a lot of the time you only see like one of the guys' back or his ass or something, when you see the other guy's face. So it's quite rare to be able to have one where it's like both guys. I mean, that's why I always love something as simple as like just like a good rear naked choke or sleeper,
Yeah, exactly. Like, so this is where I feel like it's really important to be able to see the person's face. Like, I love the king crab, like the front guillotine. I love it.
Classic.
But you can't see the person's face. So you're relying on their body language to sell it, which I think is really cool. It's like using a different part of the body to sell the fact that you're getting choked out because no one can really see their head.
Yeah.
Their head's not popping out anyway. It's caught underneath someone's armpit. Their head and neck is caught under the armpit, having the life squeezed out of them. And then you see like the rear naked choke, however, where it's pretty much the same thing. You're doing the exact same thing to them, but you see both their faces. Like so you've got one where you can't see the amount of pain that the guy's putting in, and the other one you can. And to me, from like an entertainment standpoint, it's always going to be like the one you can, like the one that they can portray or use more aspects of their body to portray what's hurting or what they're trying to fight. Again, it's taking the audience by the hand and going like, oh, this is what's on. How am I going to fight against it? But, again, as we said, like once a move like that's on, it's only like seconds before the person should be tapping.
Yeah. And in this one, there was something so good about the contrast of going from, mat wrestling to just some wily nuts shit on the outside to some striking, back to the submission stuff in the end. Like, I love in hindsight when I look at this how much like you get a bit of everything in this match, and it just takes you on a wild ride, and then it finishes in a similar way to how it started. So you sort of come full circle. And there's different Hechicero matches that I just love as more of like a true Yahweh masterclass. That wasn't what this was, but I love the just like let's jam pack everything into this little gift wrapped package here that was this nuts match. Loved it.
Yeah, but that's it. This match is like because there's so much in it. And there's so many different kind of modes and kind of gears to this match.
And it doesn't run that long either. It's what, like a 19, 20-minute match? It doesn't feel like it's there for too long at all.
No, but it goes by so quick because like at no point it's like boring. Like at no point are you sitting through any of these phases going like, oh, this isn't really their style. I hope they move on to a next thing. Like all of them, they do like well. There's like a bit of entertainment in every single little bit of it. So yeah, just like the runtime just goes by so quick, and then you look back at it and you go like, they did so much shit in that. What was it? Yeah, I think it's like 16 minutes or so.
Yeah,
including the entrances. It's like 17. So like, they do so much in that match, and none of it feels inorganic.
Yeah,
like all of it feels like it flows from one bit to another. Like the crazy shit on the outside.
that is the most important part. Like it just goes from like such polarizing things, but it all kind of like fits together in the weird organic way that it does.
Yeah, exactly. Like the stuff on the outside that allows the match to slow down a bit, and then when they come in, they just like slap the living fuck out of each other. You know, there's some cool suplexes in there. There's I don't think I mentioned it, but Cabanaro's like arm trap exploder. It's always really cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that move. I absolutely love that move.
And then it ends in a hug too, which is even more satisfying after starting out with the
special.
with the mask tearing off the prior night. We get all heated to start with, but at the end, we have the lovely story of you fight it out, and then at the end, what? It brings you closer.
Just leave it in the ring, mate. Just leave it in the ring, bro.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's just wrestling. We'll have a beer. We'll have a laugh about it later. You know how it is.
Speaking of run times, we have gone more than double the allocated amount of time for this match.
We finished the match in 10 minutes, Chris. That was what was important. All right? We had start to finish on the match. That was 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right. I think that works. Well,
good stuff.
Thank you so much, my friend. I'll have to jump on to the next of these lightning rounds matches, but I'll look forward to having you on for a longer episode very soon.
All right, cool bananas. All right. Take care, Chris.
All right. Thank you, brother. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Okay. So we're on to our next match. This being what I think is a good one. Match of the week number 77. We've got Samoa Joe versus the Necro Butcher. This match took place on June 11th, 2005 at IWA Mid-South's Something to Prove event, their big debut at the ECW Arena. And I have a very special guest to talk about that. Welcome back to the show, Wrestling Club card-carrying member with perfect attendance, Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, that is the entire reason why I got you on.
Yeah. Never been prouder to have a wrestler alongside my name. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Fun little fact: my Death Valley Driver review forum name back in the day was Hobo Joe, based on the Samoa Joe name. Which
would have worked for Necro Butcher, to be honest. The look.
Yeah. I don't know if that's all where it came from, but anyway. So we have a hard 10-minute time limit on this bad boy, so I won't ramble on for too much longer, because this match, I feel, really, really deserves as much yammering as humanly possible. So let's start some semblance of a stopwatch. All right, it's 4:39 here. All right, let's go. 10 minutes. Joe, you got to witness this match for the first time at our Wrestling Club event. Was that our last one?
Yes.
Our most recent?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So I thought it was timely. I was very excited that I got to be the one that put this in front of your eyeballs for the first time. But man, you've since watched it again. Immediate thoughts on the experience that watching this match is?
Well, it was everything that was promised in terms of brutality, no question about that. But I think what I liked about it so much, and I guess surprised me, was that it's a really, well, first of all, it's a short match. Mm-hmm. Some of those longer, bloodier matches are real epics. and you said this before, that sometimes it feels like you don't get to be called a classic wrestling match anymore unless you go 30 plus minutes or something. And this isn't that. It's just really direct. All the violence is intense, but not doesn't really strain credulity too much. It really feels authentic throughout. Feels brutal. I wouldn't want to be in the middle of it. But it was so fun actually to watch it with everyone at Wrestling Club, because that just added something, I feel like, because the atmosphere for this match is so intense in that arena. And to watch it with a crowd I think I got much more out of it than just if I'd watched it at home randomly on YouTube.
Yeah. That makes me happy to hear, because, I think there is definitely something that is special about getting to do, the Wrestling Club thing and watch these kind of matches that just hit a bit different. And I kind of wasn't under the impression that this would be a lot of people's first time seeing this necessarily, but I was really happily surprised that it was. So everyone got to kind of enjoy that together. I've talked to the bar staff on the night, and the dude that was on, he just said he did not know wrestling could be like that, and he was here for it. And I was stoked to hear that.
Yeah, no, we've said it before, if you've only seen WWE or something like that, the idea that something like this or ECW exists or FMW or anything like that does blow your mind.
It really is the freak show shit.
Yes. Well, and especially with Necro Butcher, he looks like a plant in the audience from the old, wrestling tents that they used to have, the traveling wrestling challenge me tents. And
it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was some sort of straggler of years gone by, and in some dirty South Carnival circuit he was still taking on all comers, and that was his introduction to wrestling. That would not shock me in the slightest.
Nope. But yeah, no, what a match. It's really hard to know where to start with it. There's not one thing I think impressed me was not a lot of, with the exception of when they put the crowd barrier up on the ropes inside the ring. There's not really a lot of convoluted setup to the spots they're doing, which I think helps it a lot. It keeps the momentum flying throughout it.
Yeah, just feels like a romp.
Yeah, and it feels like feels like what it is, which is a brutal brawl between these two monsters. You don't have that awkward moment where somebody's half staggering and selling whilst I get 4 tables and put them one on top of the other for a spot that's clearly coming later, sort of thing.
One of the things I really love about it that's just sort of entered my mind is I really love a good match where you have a bully wrestler who faces someone who is not going to be bullied and really kind of challenges them. And I definitely got that vibe from this, because I watched a lot of Samoa Joe matches back in the day in ROH. She was probably my favorite wrestler for a good while there. And he would just bully people, in a similar vein to, like a Super Dragon or someone like that. And put up against a dude like Necro Butcher. Necro Butcher it's kind of the immovable object versus the irresistible force in that way. And I guess you could say the other way too, Necro Butcher definitely dealt it to a lot of his opponents, and Joe probably wasn't going to be the same in receiving that as a lot of Necro's opponents would be. So it was just a really unique thing. And sometimes you see these matches where, you get two kind of bully guys and then they just kind of like really take it easy on one another because, all right. But in this case, no, it was the complete opposite. and so that kind of really set the stage for that dynamic of just this brutal fight that I've never seen another Samoan Joe match look anything like this. And I could probably say the same for Necro Butcher. So it was just sort of a real perfect storm of a unique situation. Apparently Necro just got back from Japan as well and had very little sleep and I think was just drank an insane amount on the flight from the story that he was telling when he did the Phil Schneider's Way of the Blade podcast. talking about this match. I recall. But yeah, so just a perfect storm for the explosion that would follow.
And they're also two very different styles, right? Like,
and that so makes it.
It is like you got Necro, who's actually taller and bigger than Joe. You don't realise until they sort of, because Joe's so thick, he's got that massive body. You just assume he's bigger than almost everybody. But when they stand nose to nose, Necro is taller, but he's lankier.
Yeah, Necro's a big dude.
Yeah, so that's cool visually. They both have great striking, but completely different striking, because Joe throws kicks in there, whereas Necro's got some fantastic just elbows and punches and
those
body blows.
Soup bones, dude. Yeah, when he gets those like big massive hands with some of those like body shots. Oh, yeah, incredible.
Yeah, and like that, the ending. Not to skip ahead, I guess, but the ending where Joe's won and he's sort of parading around the ring, and Necro just comes back from the dead and starts just throwing these, not haymakers, but these bombs at Joe. And the impression I get is like Joe literally was just like, "Nah, I've had enough. This is out of here. This is a legit flee the ring moment. Like, the match is over, dude. I don't need to take any more of these shots. We've done we've done the show. Let's get the hell out of here." But that was a great sort of comeback after defeat.
Oh, when those slaps just start happening, that exchange is just, I'll never forget that till the day that I die as a wrestling fan. And there's few matches that are so memorable as this. And I mean, it was super cool from like an art perspective to get to have a second go at this, because I did this one for the Way of the Blade book, one of my favorite illustrations of that book actually. And I was quite happy with that. So getting to come back and sort of redo it felt like a really fun kind of challenge. So I think in the Way of the Blade one, I had Necro nailing Joe with some of those big old Necro Butcher punches, and then this one it was that moment where Joe was giving him those receipts coming back with those slaps and those double slaps, and so I was actually quite happy with it in the end, and sort of felt like I brought a little bit of something different to it this time round. But on both occasions, I did feel a lot of pressure because it's just such a tremendous match.
The YouTube link, if people haven't seen it, should check it out, because they have the match and they have the replays after it. I remember that playing at Wrestling Club as well. And when they show the replay of those slaps in slow motion, and you can really see that blood just spraying off Necro Butcher's head, it's unreal. Yeah, so good.
Man, I really do miss though. That brings a lot of nostalgia for me from Smart Mark Video. I used to get the DVDs off of the website back in the day. A lot of the Shikara stuff they used to do as well. AEW Mid-South, and those highlights at the end from like every possible angle you could see these gnarly moves of was like really added a next level bit of enjoyment to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm one of the wrestlers too. If you're going to go through that and have yourself busted open and all that going on, you want people to see it a few times from a few different angles, so it's not doesn't just pass them by.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it was quite funny at the Wrestling Club, like the live experience of after it. Then we were talking about our favourite matches, and then just in the background, slow-mo replays of some of the most insane brutality you'll ever see.
Oh, the exploder, just Necro Butcher, just cups of blood just coming off his forehead.
That exploder from the apron to the floor, I think, is one of those visuals that, if you've seen it, you'll never forget. Just that head clunk of Necro going forehead first into that ECW arena concrete, and just immediately leaving a puddle of blood as soon as he makes contact. Like, that's one of those visuals that's just seared into my brain.
I was thinking, I don't want to go over time. The only thing I was thinking about that was, would it have been better if he'd not been bleeding yet and then he started bleeding from that? But I think he wouldn't have it would have taken too long for the blood to start flowing to get that real puddle after it. So in the end, I think the way they did it was the right way. But God, I I'd rather walk into traffic than have that exploiter done to me. Like, honestly.
Oh man, I think most people would. Yeah, this is to me like the high end of like ballsiest matches ever. And it's got a lot of praise, and I think rightfully so. But I think it's an interesting differentiating point of what people want out of their wrestling. You know, like I really do love this freak show, violent as all heck shit. You know, I also love like beautiful, you know, submission wrestling as well and everything in between. But there are a lot of people that would watch this and just be like, hard no.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's not for everybody, but I mean, I think what I like about it, and what I like across all wrestling is when you can make me believe that a move, and I know when some of these moves obviously clearly hurt, but when a bump or a move really, really is impactful, and I feel it as I think I said at Wrestling Club, this did make me wince, which is pretty hard to do now with wrestling for me.
Yeah.
Because I just assume, that's all right. They know what they're doing. But one final note too is just like by the end of it, how Joe is just covered in Necro's blood just adds to the visual of it. There's no needing to sort of wipe a smear on himself. He's just naturally coated like in blood, which is incredible.
Man, there's a few matches that make me. The real mark of proper great wrestling is when it makes you believe in the wrestling in the moment. And this one definitely did, you know. Like, this made me believe that what I was watching is real, because, you know, probably 90% of it was. But...
Yeah. But no, thank you. Again, thank you for bringing it to my attention. I was super pumped to have seen it with an audience too, rather than... Because, you know, some of the stuff that happens, you just want to turn to somebody beside you and just go, holy shit, did he just drop that guy on his head? And when you're by yourself watching YouTube, it's like, that's crazy, I guess. No one to turn to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm very, very stoked we got to experience it in this way together. From the start of Wrestling Club, this was always one that I was planning on playing, but I wanted to save it for the right time to give it its justice. Probably a good idea that it played last on that night, because it probably would have been a bit scarring if there were any kids in the bar. But that was really what it was, everything I was hoping it would be, and I think everyone got something out of it. So I'm glad we got to share that together, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. Anytime.
And I in closing, I know we're over time here, but I did want to make sure to bring up, I feel like the commentary certainly added to this as well, with Eddie Kingston and CM Punk being on commentary with Dave Prazak, I think, and just hearing them enjoy this ridiculous brutality as much as I was as a viewer, it really like heightened the whole experience.
The best line, I can't remember who, is it CM Punk who says it, or it's like, what's your strategy for taking on Samoa Joe? And it's like, I sign a contract with the WWE and run far, far away, or something like that, which is very funny given the career that Punk has had and is now back having with WWE. But but even that's like a great little curio aspect to it, that those two guys are on commentary. Yeah. Adds to it a lot.
I was looking at the card on this, and in addition to this match, there were two other matches that really piqued my interest that were on this afternoon card at the ECW Arena. One of them being CM Punk versus Homicide, which they always had tremendous matches together, so I'd really be interested to track that one down. And the other one was Claudio Castagnoli and Tracy Smothers, who were also two of my longtime favourites, especially Tracy. So, man, those IWA Mid-South cards were something else.
That's crazy to think of the talent to come out of that promotion. Just such a small promotion, you know what I mean?
Oh, man. Ian Rotten, a lot of people have some not very nice things to say about him, but he did some things good.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, next time at Wrestling Club.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. All right, well, thanks so much, dude. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
Always welcome. I look forward to having you on next at more of an elongated episode, but we'll see how we go.
Weren't this limited to people named Joe next time?
There's other Joe wrestlers in the world. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, purely just a Joe correspondent. I speak on behalf of all of us.
All right. Thanks, dude.
See you, mate.
Okay, we're back. This is actually the first one of our lightning rounds that I'm recording, but it will not be going in that order. But we're starting with a match very, very near and dear to my heart. Pro Wrestling Noah. This tremendous match took place on April 11th, 2024 at Korakuen Hall between two of the absolute best in the world, Keno versus Kaito Kiyomiya. And I have Cousin Ben on the line, who I thought, who better than Cousin Ben to be talking a little bit of Noah. So welcome to the show, Ben. We got lightning rounds. Let's get into it.
Thank you very much for having me, Christopher.
All right, so I'm gonna make this real official here. Jumping on my phone, going into the timer gimmick here. You think I'd have this ready to go, but no.
Yeah, if it's a lightning round, I thought this had been set. Fucking, you press the button, let's fucking go.
All right, there. Now let's go. All right, that's our 10 minutes. All right, so let's jump into it. So this is a storied rivalry. Many amazing matches between these two. Going back to I remember actually seeing one of the first of their tremendous matches back in November of 2019. The big Noah show that year, Noah the Best 2019 Battle of Aesthetics at the Tokyo Ryogoku Sumo Hall. And I remember just loving that match and then getting to see a whole bunch of tremendous matches ever since then till now. I mean, in theory, this one that we're talking about today from last year is the last in the rivalry. I don't know whether that'll end up being true, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's definitely not going to be the last. It's Keno, and even when he has a rivalry, even when he ends up teaming up with a guy, he always ends up fighting the guy again. If it's not in an M1, it always happens eventually. Yeah. It always comes full circle.
So do you have many thoughts of the rivalry in general? I was looking over on Cage Match, and they've had quite a few matches up to this point.
It's like 11 singles matches, I swear I heard Stu say, or Mark, in the commentary.
It's a lot.
Wasn't it like 7 to Keno and 4 to Kaito, if I was remembering correctly?
I mean, they had 4 alone between 2018 and 2019. Wait.
Yeah.
5. Yeah, 5 from up to that point anyway. So yeah, they've had a lot. They've kind of changed dynamics. I think a big story for me of these guys is seeing the growth of Kaito from the start of this rivalry up till now. I think there's a lot of comparisons you could make to the Misawa Kawada rivalry as well when it comes to this one.
No, it definitely is nice seeing how it's evolved over time because of the influence that Muto had on Kaito for that period of time when it was Noah, where he's added the modified Shining Wizard, the Dragon Screw. Then before that, he added the Jumbo Flying Knee, and like all these little pieces, we've seen how he's put them into his repertoire, and it's just sort of changed the dynamic. And even the way the matches finish and climax, it's like it used to be built around that big Tiger Suplex. Which you perfectly pictured in that perfect image.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I did include that one as the key moment of this match because of like what a significant it was thing going back. I always thought that was such a rad finish for Kaito, but you're right, it's super cool to see how he's fleshed it out. Kind of had that like Emerald Flosion kind of thing going for a while too. And yeah, I was thinking when I was watching this match, it's super cool to see with Kaito how he has put his own little he's borrowed these moves from different people, but he puts his own little kind of stank on it. Like even I was watching him in this one where he hit that incredible jumbo high knee, and just no one hits it quite like him. I mean, to me, Jumbo Ceruto is just possibly the greatest of all time, but his was a bit different to this version.
No, it's definitely just seeing how it's evolved over time. The only thing that I would like to see on the odd occasion, although it may occur, but I may not have seen it because I haven't actually seen as much Noah as I would like, is he seems to, in the matches I've seen predominantly in the last year or so, then most of them are finished with multiple modified Shining Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind a little to the past type thing of finishing the old one with a Tiger Suplex, because I just like that little bit of mix it up, that little bit of a surprise where it's like when he's about to lay his third modified Shining Wizard, which does annoy me a little when he does that many or something.
I mean, that's very Muto right there.
Yeah.
Like, getting especially the one at the back of the head and then, line him up for the, the big final one.
Yeah. So I did like it. I like the back to the front, the finish. But every now and then it's like, it annoys me a little if it's only that kind of finish. Just that little
bit too much Muto.
Yeah. It's like, don't always take away from what was you. Although, even though they're all modified moves, as you said, just that little bit to nod to the past, the where you came from. It's just the odd one finished with the Tiger Stick. I wouldn't like it may occur. I just may not have seen I haven't seen as much as I would have liked recently.
Well, it'll be interesting to follow Kaito going forward, because I think as we've seen, through this rivalry and, going back to before that, I think Kaito is a dude that is constantly evolving. So it wouldn't shock me if, watching, this match is really like an indictment on how up to date I am with Noah as well, and how behind I am. But I would like to think if I get a bit more up to date, we might be seeing that change a little bit. I mean, I don't know if as we see, this kind of looks to be leading into Kaito teaming up with Keno in a bit of a faction together. So is Kaito kind of like discovering a bit more of his darker side? I don't know if that's where this is going.
I'm definitely intrigued to see where it goes, because the combination of those two are two of my faves, and two who I feel are in the top 5 in the world for me. Just in different ways, just the intenseness and the physicality and the everything about Keno, where you have the a bit more flashy, a bit more creative, a bit more look at me of Kaito. It's just the dynamics of the two I really like when they mesh, and you see what becomes of it.
Yeah.
So I'm very intrigued to see how those two intertwine together, because, like as you mentioned to me the Magic Monday tag match, I watched that and just that in itself.
So that one took place a little while, only weeks after this one, and so we went from Keno really prodding the bear to get this match against Kaito, which it seemed like Kaito really didn't want to do, and then he finally said, all right, we'll do it one more time as long as this is the last time. And then, Keno egging him on and even wearing the shirt with Kaito as a young boy on it. And then in the end, Kaito being like, you know what, I think it's a great shirt after he gets the win. But then we fast forward and now it seems like Keno is trying to take it one step further and trying to get him to be his teammate. So it's quite an interesting story. It's probably frustrating for people to listen to who might be actually up to date with Noah. They're like, guys, why are you talking about something that happened like a year ago?
It's been and gone.
But for us, it's current.
Oh, 100%. And that's all that matters.
But yeah, I think there's definitely a really magical thing to this dynamic. And yeah, Keno, just the prototypical bad guy, and Kaito being the pure, baby face here. And one of the things I really like about this match, I hate in wrestling where you see the good guy just look like an idiot,
Yeah, that is brutal to watch.
especially with that just happened with Mania, with the good guy looking like a complete fool. Whereas in this match, I think this is fantastic because Kaito is fiery and he's angry, and right from the start of the match he's like bam bam bam, and he has that aggression. So he is that like prototypical ace babyface, but at the same time he's not a fool,
No. Yeah, he's got, and even where he's taken Keno's bringing that little bit of the edge to him, where at the start you see him where he's throwing the referee out of his way so he can fucking land those big shots on Keno to start the match, where he went at 1,000,000 miles an hour to start, instead of like the slower pace type of feel you normally get. It's like they went wow, and then he almost just sees red. It's like, I want to beat the shit out of this guy.
Yeah, it's like Keno's bringing the aggression out of him, which is kind of cool to see.
Has the aeroplane landed? Because there's a lot of background noise, like there's an aeroplane taking off behind you.
Yeah, for some reason we've got aeroplanes over us today, but we're down to our last 30 seconds, Ben.
Well, then why did you choose this particular moment to capture the match in the end? You might as well finish with that.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, I think they did a great job of teasing the tiger suplex throughout this. There are a few moments where he teased it and didn't quite get it. And also, I just there is some significance to the move dating back to being Kaito's first proper signature finish, and it really was a big part about so many of their matches. And then also there's just a really great angle of getting to capture that sort of great face of frustration of Keno trying to block it, so all those things combined, it's I guess when you do a lot of these matches of the week, you try to do something a little bit different, and I thought that angle as well was a little bit different to what I'd done before, so I guess all those things combined.
To me, it was a perfect moment to choose, and it sort of symbolised a nod back to the past, the beginning, and sort of what's to come. It was a perfect one to do, even though I do love to see the Keno head kick like that one in the finish.
Oh, that was such perfect timing.
That finish sequence of just those 4 moves, it was like perfection to me.
So good. Yeah, this match I would put out there, anyone who's wondering about, current Noah, oftentimes I feel like Noah gets a bad rap by people that don't actually watch the product. This is a match I would say, hey, watch this and see why Noah wrestlers are the best in the world, and Keno and Kaito Kiyomiya are 2 of the best today by far, in my humble opinion.
I'm right there with you.
I think we're up on our time, Ben. I'd like to thank you for joining the show. I want to let you know the coffee that I'm drinking. I don't know if this will be a continuing gimmick, but I feel like we do nerd out on our coffee. But currently, I'm drinking a coffee, filter coffee that I brought back from Mexico. It's a natural from Tlacotepec, Guerrero in Mexico. Probably butchered that, but it's a Couture bourbon and Typica blend.
Sounds like you.
And yeah, just a big, lovely, funky natural from Cafe Natural Cardinal Roasters.
So more of a chocolatey flavour, was that?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a more of a cocoa-y kind of thing to it, a little bit on the fruity side, but not as much as your Ethiopians or Kenyan kind of thing. Man, that Mexican trip, I'm so all about Mexican coffee right now. So good.
Oh, nice. Can you actually get much Mexican? Because I don't normally see too many beans from Mexico, or at least directly from Mexico, where I go anyway.
You get a little bit. I'll sometimes see some stuff from Oaxaca, or it's quite rare if you see some a little bit from Guerrero every now and then. The stuff I had in Puebla was insane. A lot of really great, coffee from the Puebla region when I was over there. But that's going to be the coolest part. I came back with all these like rad bags of coffee, and I'm not going to be
How
able
many
to get
bags you
them.
bring back?
Like 5.
Although the way you consume, it's probably only going to last you a couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Nice. Respect.
But very jealous of people who have easier access to Mexican coffee. Some of the best I've ever had.
Well, it's always nice when you have the variety and the easy access to it.
Yeah.
And instead of having to pay frigging, I'm assuming you weren't paying $30 for 250 grams or something ridiculous. I have to pay you for a decent blend.
You can for like some of your more ritzy experimental varietals. Like there were a lot of really nice geishas and stuff that I had over there. And yeah, there is like a really ritzy sort of like bougie level of Mexican coffee that you might not expect. I don't know if it's like more aimed towards sort of like a lot of the expat Americans that have moved over there at the moment. They have a lot of money. But
would you choose it? Americans are normally, they don't like the good stuff. They normally like the friggin' flavorly blends where you actually don't know it's coffee you're drinking.
Oh, I mean, depends who you're talking about. If you're talking about like the hipsters that are living abroad, living off of a blog or being an influencer or something, they're probably even more coffee wanker than me. I don't know.
There you go. As a part-time gig, you'd be a coffee influencer.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if anyone picks up on this little coffee bit of the podcast.
It's a way to feed your addiction.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, I think we've doubled the amount of time that I was meant to allocate to this thing, but I'd like to thank you very much for coming on the show, Ben.
Not a problem, Christopher. Anytime.
And all of may the Lord be with us in terms of getting caught back up on Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah. Well, I was aiming to do well, but I watched the Keno Kaito match twice today, and I haven't seen anything else. And I am not actually working today, so.
Well, best of luck.
I had to have a nap. I was a bit tired, so I didn't want to watch any wrestling that I actually cared about while I was trying to recharge your batteries because I just don't take it in properly.
I can understand that. It's a forever struggle.
Fucking oath.
All right, thank you, Ben. I will see you next time.
Catch you then.
Okay, here we are. We're up to our last 2 of this lightning rounds gimmick for this episode. That being, we're officially in the Mexico stages of the show. This is the part where I finally made it over to Mexico for what was an absolutely incredible trip. For Match of the Week 79 and 80. I have Richard on the line. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hello, thanks for having me again.
Oh, always happy to have you. Always stoked to be talking some video plant. What's going on? We'll make sure to hit on that when we get to the end of this today. But for now, we have the harsh timer going on. I mentioned we've got 10 minutes allotted per match, so let's get to it. But as I start the timer, our first match of the week, number 79, took place on March 28th of this year in CMLL, the one and only Arena Mexico. My first time walking through the hallowed doors of Arena Mexico. This was the main event of the big CMLL Friday night show, featuring Sky Team of Mascara Dorada and Neon, along with the freshly unmasked Star Jr., with everyone's favorite little blue monkey, Kemonito, against Galeon Phantasma, that being the pirate undead mummy team of Xando Khan Jr., Barboza, and Defunto. I love this match. I have only watched it live, and I have not rewatched it because I wanted to try to keep as much of that vivid in-person part of it as I possibly could. So I'll be relying on you for more of the nuts and bolts here, but what were your immediate thoughts, my friend?
I thought it ruled. I thought from the get-go, well, right away we get to your drawing very early.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved it. Like it starts off with Star Junior. He starts getting attacked as Neon is getting introduced, if I remember right. But yeah, I loved the start and the quick. It was a super quick pin for the first fall. So this one is like way faster than I was maybe anticipating, but it seemed like it'd be an awesome match to see live.
It was incredible.
Yeah, was it like pretty electric there?
Oh, it was insane. The atmosphere was wild. We were sitting sort of right by the entranceway. So it was like really kind of like just felt like gods walking down the stairs, next to you, and it's with the lights and everything. It was such a wild thing. But the whole thing just felt like a dream in a weird way. Like you're finally there in this place that you'd watched so much stuff from and built up for so long, and then for the main event to be this awesome was just icing on the cake. Like it really felt like we had 6 guys out there just like maximizing their minutes, like like they were really just, all right, we are in the main event of a Friday night show and we are just going to tear the house down.
Yeah, I thought it ruled. I loved Defunto.
Oh man, he's been growing as one of my favorites. Hey, I heard about him a bit last year as basically almost like a Chris Hamrick type of like just the king of crazy bumps. And every match there's at least something that he does that is insane, that is almost entirely intended to make the other guy look great, which is kind of magical when you think about it.
I loved him. I'm gonna try to start, sifting through and finding more matches with him. But I loved his no shoes and his mask reminds me of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, kind of Rob Zombie horror film kind of thing. But I
love the weird little sort of tuft of bits of hair coming out of it as well.
Oh yeah. I was a fan. I mean, all 3 of those dudes, I mean all 6 guys, but the what's that team called? It's like Galeon Phantasma or something.
Yeah. So I think it's sort of like the almost like the undead pirate ship is the kind of thing. I don't know, the phantom pirate ship, something like that.
Well, I was a fan. I'm trying to think of. I watched these matches on Thursday of last week, so I'm trying to. I have a couple notes here jotted down.
I was wondering in the back of my head when I was in Arena Mexico. I think I turned to Kalen and I said, "I wonder if Richard's watching this live right now."
I wasn't watching it live, unfortunately. I wish I could say I was, but I wasn't watching it live. I was looking for you though on the playback. I was like, where is he? But so much shit was going down so fast in this match that I also was following it pretty closely. One thing that I thought that really stuck out to me there's a spot where Barboza does this dive and both he and Star Junior land in the crowd. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
That was awesome. I kind of I don't know how Violent looked in person, but I kind of had this, not a fantasy, but like that. Imagine having that, like those dudes land on you. That would be pretty insane.
Well,
but
when that happened, I remember distinctly Kalen turning to me and saying, "I am so glad we're not sitting there right now." Like not so much from out of fear of safety. I think she would more just like the embarrassment kind of like side of it. Yes. She's a bit funny with that kind of stuff. So I had a bit of a laugh at that.
During the pandemic, I was at this Defy show. Eddie Kingston was there in like this kind of small gymnasium, and they had those people kind of usher you. They know like someone's going to hit the chairs. And I remember my wife was like, "Oh, thank God, that would have been really scary." But part of me was like, "Wow, it also would have been pretty awesome to kind of."
Yeah,
get wiped out.
That's what I said when Kayla said it to me. I was like, man, what an honor to say you had like a luchador land on you in Arena Mexico. Come on.
Oh my God, yeah. So after that spot, I'm trying to think of. I've got just a couple notes on like to separate the two because I didn't realize I was getting a double feature, which was awesome because I think that's part of why I want to go down a deep dive with the Phantasma, the pirate team. But yeah, and I thought the it just was, the ending was pretty epic. It felt like it was kind of setting up that next week's match.
I mean, that they always do a good job of that. Like when you sort of watch CMLL on a weekly basis, like they do a great job of setting up what was to come for the next one. But yeah, there was a part of it because I think this show might have taken place when some of the other people weren't available or were away. Like Mystico was injured. So I think there's a lot of the normal faces that would typically be in this position that weren't there. So that was why I think it might have been Rob Viper that mentioned on Twitter, like he said that this was these guys who may never get a Friday night main event again, who were just like, you know what, we are gonna crush it as best we can, and it was just so epic.
It was. I loved it. I thought, I'm trying to think about the two. I think I had. Coming out of this match, I was like, I don't think the next one's going to beat this, but I think I might have liked the next one more. But I love how much was crammed in this one. I'm trying to think of some more like specifics.
If I had to say, I'd say maybe this one was the more spectacular of the two. Like I know, Dave Meltzer went pretty nuts on this one. Like gave it like 4.5 stars or something. Yeah. And yeah, just being there in person, like you really kind of see that crowd makeup of the combination of your tourists, your your CMLL hardcores, and even the tourists. Like it really kind of like surprised me. Like I guess it's more Mexican tourists from other parts of Mexico, where for them coming to Mexico City and getting to go to the show is like a really cool thing. So when I heard about that in the past, I'd always think of like, it's just like heaps of like gringo tourists,
right?
But yeah, that was really the minority, which was kind of interesting to see. But everyone overall was just losing their bananas.
Oh my God. So it was pretty electric then, especially in the main event. That's cool. I did see some kids, like I think I saw one kid holding a defunto mask, and I was wondering, like, when you walk in, do they have like booths with masks that?
Oh man, part of the coolest part of Arena Mexico is before you even walk in, the whole street is just full of bootleg mask sellers, like stalls everywhere. T-shirts, action figures, masks. Like you walk past them, people are like, it's like you're in a market where people are like, hey, you want to buy this mask? We'll give you a really good price. And the quality is really mind-blowing for a lot of them too. And then you walk in the doors and there actually isn't nearly any official merch by comparison to the amount of bootleg stuff that's on the street, which is kind of interesting. But the coolest thing when you walk in is the big mural that they've got on the entranceway.
Oh wow! So, and is it? I know I listened to your podcast from like a week ago, and I don't remember though, like how if you touched on this, but like, is it how dated is the venue? Is it like dated in a pretty cool way, or is it updated?
Yeah. So it definitely doesn't feel like a rundown old building at all. You can feel the history in it. They've got these like amazing like stucco walls, like all around the hallways in the before you walk into the main arena that circle around it. And yeah, all of the floors are kind of like sloped. So and especially like inside, like it's like a bowl kind of thing, so it slopes up as you get further away from the ring, so every seat has like an amazing view. But yeah, those are probably two of the things that stuck with me, because with a lot of your modern arenas, you're definitely not getting sloped floors and stucco walls.
Wow.
So yeah,
God, that's so cool.
But it did feel quite like in terms of the lighting and everything, and the set and everything, like that side of it did feel quite modern.
Yeah, I mean the production value is always great. I feel like on those shows, but I also, when you travel, one of the things I really like is when you go to certain regions and the integrity of the past is still kind of like embedded in the buildings and the history. So it's cool to hear that.
I would be heartbroken if, like this. It's very cool that this like AEW show is taking place in Arena Mexico, but I'd be like heartbroken if they had to modernize and change some stuff and knock some holes in some walls to put in like extra lighting grids or laser things or whatever. Like there's a beauty about this building that I kind of really hope is never altered,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the charm of these older buildings. Here in the States, we don't have too many of those, like Madison Square Garden still around and Fenway Park and what's that?
For now, with Madison Square Garden, I know they've been talking a long time about restoring it back to the Penn Station, right?
Oh wow! I mean, they tore down Yankee Stadium. It's a bummer. But I've been to a couple, like there's Wrigley Field and stuff, and you just want things to stay. I don't know. You want these the architecture to be preserved and whatnot. So it's really cool to hear that it's they've kept that in mind and it's awesome.
I mean, as far as I know, the only real reconstruction or significant change that was made to the building was after that the incident that happened in, I think it might have been the mid 90s or late 80s when there was a big match and it was a big mask match. I think it was involving Rayo de Jalisco. And the demand was so high that it was sold out, but then a bunch of fans stormed the entrance, and so it was actually over capacity by about 3,000 people, and the balcony cracked.
Oh shit!
And it could have been absolutely disastrous if it was probably quite close to the whole thing falling down, and a lot of people. It would have been a very bad scene, but it ended up and the foundation's actually been cracked. So apparently that was one of the few times they actually had to close Arena Mexico for an extended period for the repairs that had to take place. So I think that was probably the only real time it's been significantly changed. And then of course when they put in the Freedom Bar and Grill, the restaurant that's there was also kind of significant in terms of the visual aspect of it changing. But it's still a magical building.
Updated, but kind of kept the integrity. So is that what you're saying? Okay, very cool.
For sure. Good way to put it. Well, I think we're about over time for that match. One last thing I did want to say, even though not the original, super cool to see Kei Manito in person. Kaylin was so jazzed to see Kei Manito. He's officially her favorite of the luchadors. When we had this trip, she said, "I just hope I get to see Kei Manito." And he came out with all the pomp and circumstance, his fancy new jacket, and then quickly proceeded to be beaten up and carried away. And he was carried right by us by the ushers, which was so cool to see.
That's amazing. So you were right by like the stairs kind of thing?
Yeah, we were if you were looking out from the entranceway, we're on the right.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so cool. All right. Let's move on to our next one. So our next match was match of the week number 80. This took place in another hugely historic building, Arena Coliseo, the other CMLL building in Mexico City. This one being in Centro Historico. The historic kind of district, which is really wild when you're actually there in person, and you actually see like how central these buildings are. Like so much easier to get to either Arena Mexico or Arena Coliseo than it is to like Arena Ciudad, which is where all of the WWE shows or modern kind of concerts and stuff take place. But so this one was actually the anniversary of Arena Coliseo, the 82nd anniversary, which was super cool to be there for the 82nd anniversary of this building that was purpose built for professional wrestling. This was the semi-main event of the evening. The CMLL World Trios Championship was on the line between the champions of Los Infernales, a very famous historical Rudo team of CMLL, this incarnation being Averno, Mephisto, and Euphoria, versus our aforementioned Galeon Fantasma team of Zandokan Jr., Barboza, and Defunto. And this was so darn cool. I didn't think anything could be better than the previous match, the women's Cibernetico match on this show that was just absolutely incredible. But this just hit it out of the park to a next level for me. What did you think?
First of all, I heard the women's match is awesome, so I need to watch that. But
it's probably the best women's match I've ever seen in person in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I will definitely watch, and then I'll message you what I think, because that's exciting. In a perfect world, I would have had time to watch these shows from beginning to end, but just didn't. I've just been so busy. But I will go back and watch that women's match. I thought the slower pace, but it escalates, of course. It seemed like this was maybe a more fitting venue for that kind of match, more intimate, maybe.
Yeah, it's such an incredible venue because it's like 3,000 to 5,000 capacity, I believe, but everything feels so close because the layers keep going up. It's people refer to it as like the funnel because the unique shape is the building, and you got all these round circular balconies that keep going up all the way to the top. So we were on the first balcony area, which I think is the coolest area to be in that building. Beautiful views. But yeah, again, another building where as soon as you walk through those doors, you just feel like you're traveling back in time. It was amazing.
That's awesome. So you're kind of stacked on top of each other in a way. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of like a full 360-degree version of sort of the vibe that Hammerstein Ballroom has a little bit, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Well, this one I loved again because I had my guy Defunto, my new favorite.
And he really got a bit of a highlight showcase in this. They were sort of on the opposite side. So they're more the Rudos in the previous match, and then here they're more on the Technico side, which was interesting to see their range.
I loved that. And there's that spot where his mask is already kind of coming out of his shirt, but he like takes his shirt off. And the chest, but then the chops, I love that back and forth. And then there's like a spot where he's walking the ropes, and then immediately gets his mask ripped off. It was kind of comedic, but also awesome. But yeah, I loved it. He really kind of shined in this one, I thought. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what other moments that I had. God, I'm trying to remember. Sorry, I wish I had time to watch them freshen up before we started.
No, that's okay. I mean, what were you thinking? Like, to me, a big thing of this was sort of like it had such a classic, like Rudo heat kind of build throughout it. And I feel like Infernales and especially Averno, like just getting to see him do his thing in person was so darn cool, and you just see like what a master this guy is. And yeah, I think there's maybe some things of that where you watch, on the the footage on the video of it, that seeing it in person, it somehow for me had like a bit of a different thing where you just appreciate it that little bit more when you're just like watching a guy's body language the entire time, even when he's just sort of standing on the apron and the little comments and stuff that he's saying to the crowd. Like, he's just such a master.
Yeah, I was actually wondering on that note at the end. It's one of those moments where I wish I knew Spanish, but after the match there's a lot of dialogue and something like with Defunto, they're almost like I was wondering if they're setting up another match, or maybe I'm just reading into it. But what was that like in person? The kind of cutting that promo at the end.
Oh yeah, like everyone bit on it so big. Like, as much as I said the crowd at the Arena Mexico show was insane, like this crowd I think is I think it's correct that this is a higher percentage of sort of like CMLL hardcores that come to these shows.
Okay.
And this one was completely sold out as well. So probably sometimes you get a bit more of a tourist crowd, but I think a lot of the tourist vendors couldn't even get tickets to this one. And yeah, the reaction and the post match was like, yeah, really cool. You could see there were like a undercurrent of like real support for Defunto through this. So I feel like he's really becoming kind of like a hardcore favorite. And I think the company is definitely biting on that, by giving him the position that he had in this match. And then that led to, I think the following week he ends up having a singles match against Mephisto. So that kind of makes sense, one building to another, as you were saying.
I also thought Zandu Khan Jr., he was pretty awesome in this.
Oh my gosh. I think he is for sure a future headliner. He's amazing.
Yeah, because he's the one that has like the hair coming out. Right? There's two pirate friends, and he's the one.
Yeah. So Xander Khan Jr. was the original one. Then Barboza was sort of like added a little bit later. Barboza in this one had the really cool mask with the beard on it, if you recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but both very, very talented.
And of course, I noticed that our friend Defunto has a beard because they ripped his mask off. Yeah, I love this match. I thought it was awesome. I'm trying to think of any other moments. I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank on any specifics. I loved it though. I imagine it was freaking amazing in person.
Oh yeah. I think the chop off was super cool between Averno and Defunto, and that more so than being about the physicality of the chops necessarily, as we see in a lot of stuff and a lot of sort of like Japanese matches and that kind of thing. This more had like, I don't know, a bit more like character and heat behind it. Which was very cool. Almost like a minimized version of that crazy chop off between Minoru Suzuki and Shibata last year. But yeah, there was so many things about this where I thought that it was such a classic, like probably the best like proper representation of like how you do a 2 out of 3 falls trios CMLL match like to a T.
Who got the most heat between between the two matches at the venues?
Well, different kinds of heat. Like this definitely had a bit more of the heel heat, but also like a lot of people that clearly love Infernales and love Averno. This was also super cool because we saw Euphoria, who lost the mask in the big anniversary show last year.
Love that match.
Tremendous match. But he really seems to be coming into his own in the unmasked character kind of way that sometimes takes a while to come out in guys. And he just really, really was an excellent backup player here in those classic sort of like Rudo trios moves and the cheating and distracting the referee and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think he has a pretty good aura without his mask. When he came out, I was like, oh my God, that's right. And honestly, like, I'm sure I've seen more. There's a lot of casual watching that I do with CMLL, but I remember that, yeah, he lost his mask in that match with Hechicero. That was a 4-way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun to see him, without his mask on in this environment. But yeah, I think I preferred this. I shouldn't say that. I think I like both equally for very different reasons, though. The first one was like super high flying and kind of wild and chaotic from the get-go. And this one was kind of a slower build in that way that I really appreciate. So it's just cool to know that.
It did have some spectacular stuff in and of itself, by comparison. But I feel maybe, that previous one was sort of like non-stop jaw to the floor, whereas this was a bit more about kind of like build and crescendo, maybe if I had to compare and contrast.
a good way to put it. Yeah. Well,
both great in their own way.
So these were obviously the highlights of both shows for you. But I was going to ask, did you see any other? You saw some other shows when you were there, right?
Yeah. In closing, I think we're officially up on our 10 minutes on this guy. But in finishing up, I think I went to 6 shows all in all. So yeah, that first Arena Mexico show with the previous match. Then we went to Arena Coliseo the week before this one, which was a really cool show. Star Jr. had another fantastic performance on that one. I think maybe even better than his performance in the Arena Mexico Friday night show, where there was some parts where I thought he did great, but I felt, maybe the pressure was a lot and he was probably a little bit nervous for his big first Friday night show without the mask when the spotlight's really on him like it was. So he seemed a lot more comfortable on the following night's Coliseo show, and he did really, really good. Kaylin said of the 2, she came along to 4 shows, by the way, so big respect to her there for someone who's not necessarily a wrestling fan. But of the 2, she said she thought that the following night's Coliseo show was even better than the Arena Mexico show, which was interesting to see. But yeah, there's something super magical about that building, dude. Then I went to this one. I was intending to go to the Arena Mexico show the week later, but our flight coming in from Oaxaca was sadly overbooked, and we got bumped off it. And then I knew in that moment I wasn't going to get to go to that Friday night Arena Mexico show, which was kind of devastating. But that's ultimately what made me go to this Coliseo one. So swings and roundabouts. Then I went to another, like a Tuesday night Arena Mexico show, which was very cool to still see. There's probably 4,000 people there on their quiet night of the week, which is just insane to think about. But that was really, really awesome in its own way too.
Well, I'm gonna try to watch both shows from beginning to end. I want to definitely watch that women's match, so I'll let you know what I think. But yeah,
please do. I really enjoyed that one, and the finishing stretch was just incredible. And then rounded it out with the Zona 23 Junkyard show,
God,
which was a heck of an experience. And I guess I'll be talking a bit more at length about that when I get to my next Match of the Week episode.
Awesome. Yeah, I liked the illustration for that one. So
thank you. Very unique setting for professional wrestling, and probably one of the most unique wrestling experiences of my life. I'd recommend everyone at one point in their life goes to a Zona 23 show if you can.
Well, I will stay tuned to hear all about that one.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on today, my friend. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. I wanted to give a little shout out. You're continuing the build of the upcoming Video Plant website. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm making a website. It's kind of like a digital extension of the Video Plant. It's kind of for offbeat, media ephemera. Trying to get away from the socials and algorithms. So it's just going to be websites are dead. So I figured I'd make a website that's kind of disconnected from all that shit, and where it just will be a place for curated oddities and curiosities and thoughts around movies, wrestling, and music, that kind of thing. So that's tied to the Video Plant. I'll have digitized footage of some tapes from the Video Plant. So yeah, I'm still working on it, but I'll definitely let you know when it goes live, and I got a few things up on it.
Please do. I definitely will be letting everyone know when it is live, but I'm very looking forward to that as well. I think back in the day, in those little bit earlier days of what the web was like and surfing the web, and it was those weird sites that just feel like you've stumbled upon this digitized museum of weird stuff. that I used to always love the most. And it feels like those kind of websites are getting more and more rare. So I'm super stoked to hear that you're bringing it back.
Thank you. Yeah, I figured like the video plant's a physical destination, and this website can maybe be like a destination like they used to be before we had the internet on our phones. So it's got a little bit of that old bare bones like vibe to it. So yeah.
Amazing. Can't wait to see, my friend. Well, I better let you go, but I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show. I always have so much fun talking to you about the wrestling and especially lucha.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I wish I had been able to watch the matches just immediately before we chatted, but it was a fun challenge to chat about the matches in the lightning round. So thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And yeah, I'd highly recommend everyone else goes out of your way to catch those matches. On the Coliseo front, I know those ones are on the more pricey of the tiers of the CMLL YouTube subscription. So again, extra respect to you, Richard, for being on that one to watch it. But for everyone else, a good time to do this is if there's a big CMLL show coming up that you really want to see, one of those big, ones that anchor the year. I find that can be a good time to upgrade to that top level of the subscription. To be able to watch those big shows live, like the anniversary show or Dos Leyendas or whatever. And then when you've got that, that high ticket month going, go back and watch this stuff that's on your list that are like these Coliseo shows or any of the rest of the stuff that you might have missed.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to have the subscription, and like it's kind of like a fun companion to have on in the background, especially and to tune into and focus on. So I'm glad that you have these matches of the week to zero in on certain matches and watch.
I'll do my best. All right. Well, thanks again, Richard. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me, Chris. Talk to you later.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Bye. All right. There we are. We made it. Boy, all the matches of the week. I did a terrible job of keeping to my 10-minute time limit, but at least they would probably be shorter than they would be otherwise. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of my guests this week. I had such a joy talking to all of y'all about some of my favorite matches the last little while. Also, thank you to you, the listener, for indulging me, for listening to my rambling nonsense. I hope you guys get some enjoyment out of these matches too. I hope if you can be doing your homework and watching them and then getting to participate in a way when you hear us sort of chop it up. That always used to be one of my favorite things to do on some of those wrestling nerd podcasts back in the day. Listening to dudes like Alan Coonahan and Rob Naylor nerd out about some really niche wrestling and expanded my brain when it came to wrestling as well. So if I can play a similar role for anyone else out there and help expand their wrestling world, then that is just a joy for me. And that's what I'm looking to do here. But yeah, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Social Suplex, socialsuplex.com for keeping their lights on, for giving me the platform to do this show. A whole bunch of other rad wrestling podcasts there as well. If you're in the mood for more wrestling audio from the New Japan podcast, Keeping It Strong Style, to One Nation Radio, All Things Elite, Imps, WWE Venture, AEW Match Recommendation Podcast, Tunnel Talk, the Trish and Sarah Podcast. They got it all. So thank you, Social Suplex. I think that's about it for today. I won't ramble on for too much longer because we're already almost at the 2-hour mark. Oh boy. If you have made it this far into this episode, my, hats off to you. I appreciate it. And if you ever want to swing me a little old message just to say hi, let me know what you're doing. You know, you listen to all of my nonsense. Please do. Instagram.com/Chris Things is one of the best places you can be to keep up with me and to swing me a message in the little old DM part. Also, christhings.com.au is the website. I got a contact page on there. You can also keep up with my events and such on the dedicated events page of all my comings and goings. As well as, of course, all of our matches of the week and whatever other, art pieces, paintings, original paintings, all sorts of stuff that I post and make for sale on there. But yeah, if you just want to keep up by listening to this podcast and, catching my stuff here and there, I'm perfectly happy with that as well. Either way, thank you so much. I am Chris Things Brian, and that's been Wrestling Art for this week. I look forward to talking to you next week. And if things go well, I think I have that elusive artist guest coming up for you guys with the return of our Wrestling Art Curator edition of the show. Okay, until next week, fare thee well. Enjoy.